Shalom to the elect of Israel, to the hopeful elect of Israel, you Hebrew Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indian, and Haitians. Got to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, the Most High, the Heavenly Father. His name is Yahweh in the Hebrew. Yahweh, not Yahweh, not Jehovah, not God, not Elohim, not Most High, not Lord, not Ahaya. It's Yahweh. His only begotten Son name is in the Hebrew, Yahweh Shai, not Yahshua, not Yeshua, not Jesus Christos, not Jesus Christ, not Serapis Christus, not Yeshaya. It's Yahweh Shai. So gotta give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rikah, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, who teach well, and a sincere salutation to all the occupant pushing this truth and believing this truth throughout the four winds of the earth, the entire world waking up the hopeful elect. And shalom to the Agwaf who are listening and learning, the few sisters who are listening and learning. I'm Isaiah from the GMS Orlando camp, coming at you with another lesson in true facts, faith, and edification, another daily edification. Lord's willing, let's be edifying. And this is headlines for the wise of Israel. Information headlines for the wise of Israel. Lord's willing, let's be edifying.
We are seeing signs that the country's food supply chain is under significant stress. Here are two scenes. These are the enormous lines for the LA Regional Food Bank over the weekend, with cars stretching for miles. We've seen this kind of scene play out all over the country. People are desperate for food. They're having trouble feeding their families, their kids particularly. And here's another scene. This is what some dairy farmers are doing, dumping out thousands of gallons of fresh milk every day. Other farmers are destroying crops outright, plowing, for instance, ripe vegetables right back into the ground. Because with restaurants, schools, and hotels and other things closed, farmers that are part of the commercial food supply chain just don't have anywhere to sell their products. Also, the frontline workers, those that are keeping the food chain going, they are clearly at tremendous risk. They're still in the fields picking produce with minimal to no protection, particularly immigrants without papers. This is what it looks like inside a pork processing plant. People working there have to stand shoulder to shoulder. Yesterday, one of the largest plants in the country shut down in South Dakota indefinitely after nearly 300 employees tested positive for coronavirus. That's nearly a third of the cases in the entire state. The food supply chain is one of those things the vast majority of us, I think, tend to take for granted. We go to a restaurant or a grocery store or a fast food chain and the food is just there. But this crisis is putting stress on all parts of it from every angle. Last week, we brought you an interesting story about our toilet paper supply. And that reporting showed that the reason there's a shortage of toilet paper at stores is only really partly because people are hoarding this stuff. It's more because the industry is split into two markets. There's a commercial one and a consumer one. And everyone at home is now using the consumer product. And the commercial one, the one that's usually given to businesses and campuses and office buildings, cannot be easily made available for residential use. Well, guess what? It turns out the food supply chain is structured in a similar way. While grocery stores are having a hard time keeping things in stock, there is an entire food chain designed to sell bulk food to fast food stores and restaurants that is essentially being left to rot. And that is because a supply chain, as one dairy industry advocate explains, is tough to just switch around.
Because oftentimes the packaging and the size of the product that's delivered to grocery stores or distributed through those avenues of food service are much larger and not necessarily for family use.
This weekend, Wall Street Journal's agriculture reporter Jesse Newman wrote about coronavirus's impact on our food supply chain, specifically why farmers are dumping milk and breaking eggs in the middle of a pandemic. Jesse Newman joins me now. And Jesse, you've been doing great reporting on this that I've been following avidly. Talk to me a little bit about this conundrum here, the paradox of these sort of two supply chains, and the fact that one of them is so in sort of disuse at this strange moment that there's tons of food being produced with nowhere to go.
Yeah, thanks. It's a really strange situation that farmers and food producers find themselves in. In the past few months, since all of this began, we've seen just massive upheaval in the food supply chain. And, at the beginning, we saw consumers flocking to grocery stores and clearing shelves of just about every product in anticipation of weeks and months at home. And so we started looking at, well, what is the strength of this food supply chain? And early on, we learned that there was plenty of food in the country. So our cold storage warehouses were full of products like chicken and pork, and there was plenty of fresh produce on farms and on orchards, and plenty of grain in grain bins. But it's become clear over time that this huge shift was needed to take place in order to get that food to consumers. So as restaurants closed, restaurants and school cafeterias, all of that food that was destined for those outlets needed to be shifted to grocery stores, and as it turns out, that's tough to do.
This is now over everything. We know the Most High, the Heavenly Father Yahweh, doing all this. Yahweh Bashim Hawashah is doing this. This is Hosea chapter 4, verse 3. Therefore shall the land mourn, and every one that dwelleth therein shall languish. Again, Hosea 4 and 3. Therefore shall the land mourn, and every one that dwelleth therein shall languish. With the beasts of the field, and with the fowls of heaven, yeah, the fishes of the sea also shall be taken away. And that's what's going on, along with the fruits and vegetables, man. This is the work from the Heavenly Father Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushua.
Right, so you've got the situation where the food is there, but they don't have the relationships, the distributors, the networks that are sort of pre-established to get them into major grocery chains. So you've got that sort of part of it wilting. Is the grocery avenue able to keep up right now? I mean, is the sort of residential household use food supply chain functioning essentially?
So grocers, like everyone in the food supply chain, are scrambling to keep up. And the challenge really is converting some of these products from restaurants into the grocery chain. So, for example, we wrote about dairies that are dumping milk and chicken companies that are breaking eggs, that are growing chickens for meat, and there's just too much food that can't make it into the grocery channel, as you say, because some of those relationships don't exist. And it's also a question of varieties of food and packaging and sizes. So, for example,
Right.
Vegetable producer told me that they've got all this conventional spinach that they grow for use in restaurants. Well, as it turns out, shoppers mostly prefer organic spinach, and so there just isn't a home for vast quantities of the conventional spinach that they grow. And in the case of dairy, a good example is cheese. So on a dairy farm, which produces millions of gallons of milk, a lot of that goes into cheese production, and cheesemakers are making huge packages of shredded cheese that are bound for pizza chains, mozzarella cheese that's going to go on top of pizzas.
Right.
And easily converted into a small 8-ounce zippered bag that a consumer likes to buy at a grocery store. It just takes specialized equipment, and it's very costly to try to shift on a dime.
What this is, them getting rid of food, dumping out milk, this is a new thing, man. Okay, this is the Heavenly Father Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushua, showing new signs in the earth. This is Ecclesiastes 36 and 6. Show new signs and make other strange wonders. Glorify thy hand and thy right arm, that they may set forth thy wondrous works. Okay, these are new signs, man. Just like you see a hornet killing a rat, man. That's a new sign in the earth, man.
So the final question here has to do with the workers that are part of this entire chain. I mean, these are people that are, essential services, whether that's the grocery person or a farm worker picking fruit, or those folks we've seen in pork processing plants. I mean, these are all people who are Both needed, but also really exposed right now, as the story out of South Dakota shows.
That's right. So farm workers have been deemed essential workers. They are still being encouraged to go to work and pick our fresh fruits and vegetables, or in the case of meat processing plants, workers, we need those workers to produce the products that we all enjoy. And yet farm workers and their advocates are quite concerned about the risks that they face. A lot of workers, as you mentioned, are undocumented. Some are here on seasonal guest worker visas, and their employment is tied to a particular employer. And there are, conditions that persist in this industry that are very concerning, whether it is overcrowded housing or these workers are being transported to fields in dozens of workers to a bus. They work in close proximity to one another. And so, there's a lot of concern about their health and safety.
Isaiah 42 and verse 9. Behold, the former things are come to pass, and new things do I declare. Before they spring forth, I tell you of them. And starting with the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, you have been warned of these new things that's coming to pass, man. Isaiah 46 and verse 10. Declaring the end from the beginning, and from ancient times the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure. This is the work of the Heavenly Father, man. Now, I got a couple videos. They got a couple infomercials. So, Salaki for that. Hey, but the edifying is here. So, Lord witness be edified.
Good evening, everyone.
The edification is here. You got a couple infomercials, but the edification is here.
Stunning and brutal reality check tonight. Some of the worst fears of public health experts now outlined in projections provided to the government and reported today that show the number of daily coronavirus deaths in the U.S. could nearly double to 3,000 a day. With overall COVID deaths in this country pushing towards 70,000, the new analysis could undercut some of the optimism fueling returns to business as usual across the country. Our reporting tonight begins with Peter Alexander.
With more states starting to ease restrictions and reopen their economies, a sobering new projection inside a draft government report from the Trump administration, warning of the possible consequences. Predicting by June 1st, the daily death toll from the coronavirus could nearly double to 3,000, and the number of cases could jump to 200,000 a day. The New York Times obtained the internal document, which cited projections from a Johns Hopkins University model. Former FDA Commissioner Scott Gottlieb says there could be an alarming new reality in some states that are reopening now, despite not seeing a decrease in cases.
And we keep saying, this is becoming the new normal. This is the new normal.
As you start to reopen the economy, as people start to interact more, they stop the social distancing, that slow burn of infection could ignite at any point.
It comes as President Trump is revising his projection for the number of lives lost. 2 weeks ago saying the death toll could be as low as 50,000, but on Sunday saying it will likely be significantly higher.
And look, we're going to lose anywhere from 75, 80 to 100,000 people. That's a horrible thing. We shouldn't lose one person over this.
Tonight, the White House and the CDC are disavowing the draft document. The White House saying it's not their document, that it's not gone through interagency vetting, and is not reflective of any of the modeling done by the task force. The creator of the Johns Hopkins model telling the Washington Post the projections were unfinished and not in any way intended to be a forecast, but adding there are reopening scenarios where it could get out of control very quickly. Gottlieb noting cases are expanding in 20 states.
And it may be the case that we have literally tens of thousands of infections every day, and we just have to learn how to reduce our risk and how to live in an environment where the backdrop is that there's going to be continued spread of this virus.
And tonight, another model often cited by the White House is projecting the death toll will reach 134,000. That would mean as many Americans could lose their lives in the months ahead as have died so far. Lester?
All right, Peter, thank you. Even with those troubling new projections, more states are letting businesses reopen despite the risks, while others are taking a more cautious approach, sparking new protests. We get all the latest from NBC's Miguel Almaguer.
Tonight in California, where stay-at-home orders remain in effect, business as usual has never looked so shocking. From restaurants near Los Angeles to cities outside Sacramento, open defiance from local leaders and businesses flouting mandates now 7 weeks old.
We can't stop working. We can't stop living.
With a chorus of protests growing louder across the country, tempers are flaring at capitals,
Let us go back to work.
city centers, and on street corners. In New York, a police officer punched a bystander after attempting to enforce social distancing orders.
And this is for educational purposes only. This is for educational purposes only.
Michigan, 3 people now charged with killing a security guard who was shot after a dispute with a customer over a face mask. Police are also looking for this man who wiped his nose on a clerk's shirt when asked why he wasn't wearing a face covering. In Arizona, where emergency orders were extended, at least 2 county sheriffs say they won't enforce the measures.
We don't want to create criminals out of innocent people.
But in Chicago, a different message from the mayor after several parties over the weekend.
Don't make us treat you like a criminal. But if you act like a criminal and you violate the law and you refuse to do what is necessary to save lives in the city in the middle of a pandemic, we will take you to jail.
You see, that's Jake, man. You saw the little clip. Jake got that partying, man. Let me go back. See, Jake got that partying, man. See, this is a game right now. Hey, but the Lord gonna whack 2/3, man, which we already know. But it's showing you it's a game with Jake, man.
Don't make us treat you like a criminal. But if you act like a criminal and you violate the law and you refuse to do what is necessary to save lives in the city in the middle of a pandemic, we will take you to jail, period.
And hey, the scripture says in 2 Ezra, they would not regard their king nor princes, man. Okay? Hey, they bugging out, man. They want to get out. They want to party. They want to party and bullshit. Excuse my French. They want to party and just bullshit, man. Period.
Warmer weather and growing angst about staying home, today 6 more states partially reopened. In Florida, some shops and restaurants can open with reduced...
My name is John Chambers. I traveled deep into the Amazon jungle with my team, where I uncovered a disturbing...
So lock it for the infomercial.
While Miami remains shut down, beaches in Clearwater are open with people spread out. In states where the lockdown lingers, it could take months to reopen some businesses, and that is driving the protests and defiance we're seeing across the nation.
We have to respect this process for what it is. It is a killer.
But in Philadelphia, Vita Walker wants demonstrators to remember her husband James, the Philadelphia police officer who lost his life after getting sick on the job.
Even if the whole world opens back up tomorrow, do not just go outside and back to life as normal.
Tonight, the fight to reopen and to save lives.
You see that? The cop that died is Jake, man. That's Jake. Hey, the Lord don't hear the cry from sinners, man. Okay? That's why we supposed to repent, convert, and be healed, man. That your sins may be blotted out. Hey, the Lord don't hear the cry from sinners, man.
Miguel Almaguer, NBC News, Los Angeles.
I'm Blaine Alexander. As states and now stores start to reopen, things are looking very different. At malls, masks, blocked off areas, and arrows taped to the ground are now the norm, trying to strike that balance between the safety of Americans and the health of the economy. And for some, lining up to get inside, it's working.
We're probably going to get viewed as not doing what we should by getting out, but we're going to do it anyway.
See? There it is, man. They should not regard their kings nor princes, man. What she just said? They don't care, man. They don't care, man.
We're probably going to get viewed as not doing what we should by getting out, but we're going to do it anyway.
And it's going to get worse, man. It's going to get worse, man.
malls do not mean open stores. At these two shopping centers near Atlanta, only a handful of stores were open.
Me, the Israelites, and things still not normal.
Many of the big chains still shuttered, but Macy's, America's largest department.
And that was Esau said that. Why? Hey, because they are not in trouble as other men. They can do what they want to do, man. This is their kingdom.
Store chain opened 68 locations today. Most fitting rooms will be closed. Any clothing that is tried on or returned will be held for 24 hours before going back on the shelf. No more services that require close contact, like makeup trials, fittings, and alterations. There will be increased ventilation in all stores and plexiglass barriers at checkout counters. Best Buy will also reopen more than 200 stores this month, but shopping will be by appointment only. Costco is resuming normal hours and requiring that all shoppers cover their faces. Whole Foods will be requesting the same and handing out disposable masks. And more Starbucks locations are brewing again, but for now, it's drive-through and takeout only.
This is
Experts
the new
say
normal,
some of the
man.
smaller stores may feel pressure to reopen faster because they don't have the online presence or financial cushion of bigger chains. But for all stores, bills are due.
Well, when the mall is shut down, it's easier for those retailers to ask for relief. But when they can be open and the mall has changed protocols so they can be, it's tough to make that ask that you're not quite ready to pay the rent.
And tonight, J.Crew is the first big-name brand to declare bankruptcy. The clothing chain could lose up to $900 million this year. Lester?
All right, Blaine Alexander tonight, thank you. And with the virus forcing some big meat processing plants to shut down, the ripple effect is growing, with major grocery chains now limiting how much meat shoppers can buy. We get more on that story now from Gabe Gutierrez.
With more and more empty shelves, Kroger now says it will limit ground beef and poultry purchases in some of its stores, and Costco is restricting fresh beef, pork, and poultry items to 3 per customer.
I was able to score on one and can't wait to get it on the barbecue.
The CDC says about 5,000 meat and poultry plant workers have contracted coronavirus in 115 plants across 19 states. Social distancing and other measures are now slowing down plants nationwide.
What you see with this is less supplies and higher prices. And whether we're talking beef, pork, chicken, lamb, whatever your favorite is, really, we are already seeing really skyrocketing prices.
After being closed for 2 weeks, this meat processing plant in South Dakota, where hundreds of workers got sick, partially reopened today. It's installed new physical barriers on the production floor and is taking the temperatures of its workers.
2 Ezra 6:22. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. And that's what's going on.
A closed Tyson plant in Indiana is also set to restart production this week. But a federal strike force is now in Amarillo, Texas, after a surge in COVID-19 cases at local plants there.
They will bring resources, and most importantly, they will bring strategies that they've been using in other beef packing plants.
President Trump has invoked the Defense Production Act to order meat plants to stay open, deeming them essential.
You know, you have plants with no problem at all. Then you have somewhere it was a hot spot. Those people are tending to get better very quickly.
But some workers say they're scared to go back to work.
It's kind of hard to have social distance and you work side by side. I don't know what they can do to really ease the tension.
Experts say there is no mass food shortage here in the U.S., but they warn panic buying could lead to spot shortages across the country. Lester?
All right, Gabe Gutierrez, thanks. Now to the big changes coming to travel. Airlines now requiring passengers to wear face masks during their entire flight, and a major cruise company already talking about launching new voyages. Here's Tom Costello.
With the nation's airlines fighting for their...
The way you're taking vitamin C today might not be doing as much for your immune system as you'd like to think it is. Now, as a holistic
survival, new rules to keep both crew members and passengers safe. As of today, passengers on JetBlue, Delta, and United must join crew members in wearing masks from the moment they check in. By next Monday, Frontier, American, Alaska, and Southwest will also require masks. Some airlines will provide them to those who don't have them. If passengers refuse, they could be denied boarding. Faith Leonard, newly married on Zoom, was today flying from New York to Georgia.
Some have food around, some are just chilling, some are completely empty, and most people wearing masks.
Man, if the Lord wants you to get this, you're going to get it. Ain't no mask. I don't care if you got goggles on, you got your whole head covered. That ain't going to protect you from Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. If he wants you to get this disease, whatever it is, you will get it. You will get it.
The airline now deep cleaning their planes, enforcing social distancing, and limiting the number of passengers, leaving middle seats open. Southwest CEO Gary Kelly.
We're doing everything we can to make it as safe as humanly possible.
Today, airline stocks slid further after billionaire investor Warren Buffett said he's now sold his airline holdings.
The future is much less clear to me about how the business will turn out.
At Tampa,
you see that? That's from a billionaire. Hey, he in the loop. He know what's going on. Why would he sell his shares in the airline? He know what's up.
International airport passenger volume down a staggering 97%. The airport now encouraging face masks, more cleaning, more hand sanitizer, plastic shields at ticket counters, and floor markings to keep everyone separate. I would say
this is all to bring the mark of the beast, the RFID microchip. This is all to bring the mark of the beast, man, the RFID microchip. That's what these devils is pushing. This is the ultimate goal, man. To have everybody chipped like cattle.
somewhere between 2 to 4 years before we get back to pre-COVID levels. That's what our forecasters are telling us, and that's what we're planning on. Meanwhile, Carnival Cruise Line, also in dire straits, now says it hopes to sail on August 1st, despite CDC concerns that cruise ships exacerbate the virus's spread. And Uber asking drivers and passengers to wear masks. Back here at the nation's deserted airports, the numbers are alarming. On Sunday, just 170,000 people flew nationwide. A year ago, on the same day, 2.5 million people flew.
Hey, you see? Hey, the Lord is doing a new thing in the earth, man.
There has been a sudden surge in cases of a serious mystery illness in children we've been telling you about, believed to be related to COVID-19. At least 64 children in New York have now been diagnosed with the syndrome so far. Tonight, pediatricians around the country being alerted to the mystery ailment and its symptoms amid worries that cases so far represent just the tip of the iceberg.
And these devils been giving our kids autism, man, through their vaccines. All different type of ailments, man. This ain't nothing new.
And that's where our reporting begins tonight with Kristen Dahlgren.
Within hours of an urgent call for parents and pediatricians to be on the lookout for the mysterious complication in some children, the number of cases ballooned in New York State.
I understand why parents would be anxious. I think everybody should be.
64 children in New York have now been diagnosed with what is being called pediatric multisystem inflammatory syndrome, believed to be a response to COVID-19. The rare complication marked by fever, red eyes, rash, or upset stomach, and in some cases, cardiac arrest. Late today, the American Heart Association putting out an advisory to pediatricians. Dr. Jane Newberger from Boston Children's Hospital says she's never seen anything like it.
You were on a call with 1,800 other doctors from around the world. How concerned is the global community about this?
Well, I think the global community is really concerned because this is a brand new event.
8-year-old Jaden Hardawar had no pre-existing conditions. His family and pediatrician never even knew he had COVID-19. But he ended up on a ventilator in the ICU after his heart stopped.
Right away, they started applying CPR on Jaden. At that point, I grabbed the cell phone and called 911.
These cases are rare, but they seem so severe and so unpredictable. What does a parent need to know?
So I think most parents, first and foremost, need to know that this is rare. And at the same time, they shouldn't fail to seek medical attention if their child is sick.
So far, no deaths have been reported. The CDC says it is now studying the syndrome, trying to learn more before more children get sick. Kristen Dahlgren, NBC News, New York.
Now to the race to reopen and the deep and sometimes confusing divide that's causing. With the virus still taking many thousands of lives each week, more than half the country is carrying out plans to get people back to work, while others simply defy the rules. Here's Miguel Almaguer.
With our nation anxious and cautious about getting back to work, tonight the delicate balance between protecting the health of Americans and the economy is creating a deep divide. After the highest single-day death toll in Illinois, stay-at-home orders remain in effect. But in East Peoria, the mayor is urging businesses to ignore the governor's orders.
You see that?
Don't follow state
To ignore. Listen to this.
guidelines. We could get some huge fines.
The mixed messages playing out nationally come as some 10,000...
Hold on. I gotta play that again. Cause these people ain't listening, man.
The mayor is urging businesses to ignore the governor's orders.
If we don't follow state guidelines, we could get some huge fines.
The mixed messages playing out nationally come as some 10,000 Americans died from coronavirus complications every 5 days over the last month. In Texas, where COVID cases surged 35% since last week, the defiance has led to detention.
So I'm not closing the store.
After Shelley Luther opened her doors in
See
Dallas, a judge put the salon owner behind bars for 7 days.
You see that?
At this West Virginia barber shop, customers are crossing the Pennsylvania state line to get a haircut.
You see? Hey, these devils don't care, man. And what does Jake do? Follow after the wicked. This is Mark 3:24. If a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. And if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. And if Satan rise up against himself and be divided, he cannot stand, but have an end. And that's what we see going on in Babylon the Great, in all the countries around the world. They are coming to an end. Why? Because they are divided, man. You see the headline? Americans divided on reopening at U.S. death toll 73,000. And if Satan rise up against himself and be divided, he cannot stand but have an end. And what is Jake doing? Following after these devils, man. This is Isaiah 26:10. It reads, "Let favor be showed to the wicked, yet will he not learn righteousness. In the land of uprightness will he deal unjustly." They living in the land of Israel, dealing unjustly over there on every level, and will not behold the majesty of the Lord. They don't deal justly here in Babylon the Great. They set up their own laws and rules and broke the laws of the Heavenly Father Yahweh. Okay, let favor be showed to the wicked, yet will he not learn righteousness. In the land of uprightness will he deal unjustly, and will not behold the majesty of the Lord Yahweh. What does 2/3 of Jake do? They follow after these devils. This is Proverbs chapter 12:26. The righteous is more excellent than his neighbor, but the way of the wicked seduceth them. That's why Jake throwed off, man. Why? Because the ways of the wicked, man. This is what the Lord say, Jeremiah 5:28. They are waxing fat, talking about you Negro, Latino, Native American, West Indian, and Haitians. And read 26. Jeremiah 5:26. For among my people are found wicked men. They lay wait as he that setteth snares. They set a trap, they catch men. It said they lay wait as he that setteth snares. Who set snares for you Negro, Latino, Native Americans, West Indian, Haitians? The wicked. As a cage is full of birds, so are their houses full of deceit. Therefore they are become great and waxing rich. They are waxing fat, they shine. Yeah, they overpass the deeds of the wicked. This what 2/3 of Jake is doing, man. Following out the ways of the wicked. And what did the Lord say in Exodus 23:2? Let's read it real quick. Exodus 23:2. Thou shalt not follow a multitude to do evil. But what does Proverbs 12:26 say? The righteous is more excellent than his neighbor, but the will of the wicked seduceth them. And that's why 2/3 of Jake falling after these devils. Why? Because they are not in trouble as other men. They can do what they want to do. So Jake figure they can do the same thing. Well, guess what? You Jake's got a judgment. The heathens can do what they want to do because they are not in trouble as we are.
In California, this was the scene to get into a mall that should not have been open.
With the lockdown looming
You see
over
that?
businesses in Los Angeles, more and more say they won't survive the crisis.
Let that have been a Jake store that opened up when it's supposed to be closed. Man, the people, they threw Esau in jail. They threw in jail for 7 days. But guess what? Jake would have got a longer time than that, man. You know how the game go.
Tonight in states like Alabama and Utah, shopping centers are opening their doors. By Sunday, at least 43 states will have completely or partially reopened. In Mississippi, where the death toll just hit a high, there is an appetite to return to restaurants.
About as excited as a 87-year-old man can get.
But there is troubling news at food processing facilities where new cases plague plants. Nationally, some 5,000 workers in 115 locations have fallen ill. A troubling sign, business as usual is anything but that. Miguel Almaguer, NBC News, Los Angeles.
Business as
This
usual.
is Gabe Gutierrez in Lafayette Township, New Jersey, where Todd Applebaum is a first-generation farmer who says his wholesale business to restaurants is wiped out.
I thought we were going to close, I'll be honest with you.
But now he's found a new lifeline. If you weren't able to sell at open-air farmers markets, what would happen to your business?
I would be completely shut down.
He's relying more on markets like this one, where he and other farmers can sell directly to customers, cutting out the middleman.
We actually are looking into online shipping.
Across the country, the meat industry is rattled after processing plants shut down over coronavirus concerns. Today, a major JBS plant partially reopened in Worthington, Minnesota, and a Tyson Foods plant in Waterloo, Iowa is set to resume limited operations tomorrow. But Tyson stock is down 39% from last year. Nationwide, daily cattle production has dropped 34%.
It's not a supply problem. There's plenty of live animals. It's a supply chain. So we can't get those animals to market to be able to be consumed.
That caused beef shortages at a growing number of Wendy's restaurants and prompted meat purchase limits at major grocery chains. Small farmers are now racing to reinvent themselves.
Looks like we're going to be doing more retail and less wholesale, more in the farmers markets, more on the website.
Even as the supply chain breaks down, farmers like Todd Applebaum are searching for new ways of connecting with their customers directly to survive. Lester?
All right, Gabe Gutierrez this evening, thank you. And as more businesses open their doors again, even in areas where the virus is spreading, Jolene Kent tonight on how they're trying to bring customers back and the restaurant chain sparking outrage in the process.
As businesses reopen, there's a patchwork of policies triggering new concerns. Workers at 5 Dallas restaurants owned by Hillstone, a popular national chain, tell NBC News they were told not to wear masks on the job.
We have to stop the spread and everything, so it's probably not a good idea.
I probably would not dine in at a restaurant if the servers weren't wearing a mask.
Outrage spilling over on social media. One customer saying, not letting your employees wear masks during a global pandemic is insane. Hillstone did not respond to NBC News' request for comment, but did reply to the post, saying, our staff members who felt comfortable working without a mask are covering the limited number of shifts we have available. Those that didn't feel comfortable were encouraged to stay home. Nobody was fired or forced to do anything. On Hillstone's website, the company tells Texas customers, if you are concerned about your safety in this respect, we hope you'll join us at a later date. But in an executive order on reopening, Texas Governor Greg Abbott says businesses and customers should use good faith efforts to follow health protocols and encouraged everyone to wear appropriate face coverings.
The key is following your state or local guidelines. There are a lot of challenges they have to follow, but really just follow the local guidance.
And several.
See, that's another form of not regarding the kings nor princes, man.
Big retailers sharing their new plans to keep employees.
Hey, you heard what they said. You can either eat here or we'll catch you at a later time. You don't got to come to our restaurant. Basically what they saying. Hey, go eat somewhere else.
And customers safe.
The Gap reopening 800 stores by the end of May, with shorter hours and face coverings provided for employees. And when it's time, registers guarded with plexiglass. Expect similar changes at Kohl's and Nordstrom, and big changes coming to theme parks. Shanghai Disney Resort is opening Monday, the company considering allowing fewer people into its parks at once, more health screenings, and virtual lines to maintain social distance.
Hey, Esau need that money, man. Okay? Hey, Babylon the Great and the islands of the sea. Okay, these countries, they going broke, man. They going broke, man. Especially Florida, man. It's about that tourist money, man. They need that. And these other places, man. Shanghai Disney Resort. Plan to reopen next week. They need that money, man. These places need that money. California, these places need that money, man. Because if not, they will all be bankrupt.
Disneyland and Disney World, a blueprint for what comes next. Jolene Kent, NBC News.
Now to an NBC News exclusive, an inside look at Homeland Security's National Biodefense Lab, opened after 9/11 and now focusing solely on COVID-19. Here's Tom Costello with that.
It's one of the deadliest pathogens the world has faced in the last 100 years. Trying to crack the coronavirus code is now the top priority at Fort Detrick, Maryland, in the Homeland Security Biodefense Center. Behind these doors, one of the most secure labs in the country. Researchers in full biohazard suits now working to understand how the coronavirus spreads and infects so easily. I asked senior research scientist Paul Davish about the pressure knowing so many people have already died.
It's very great. Like we are working around the clock because of that, to try to answer questions that we're being asked about this virus, and hopefully those results can help to inform our response to this, and we know the clock is ticking on this.
Among the most urgent questions, how long does the virus hang in the air and remain infectious? In this aerosol chamber, researchers recreate the sunlight, heat, and humidity levels for any climate in the country, from New York in springtime to Arizona's deserts to Florida's beaches. If the virus can remain airborne, it could potentially spread more easily through hospitals, prisons, meatpacking operations, schools, and nursing homes.
We're most concerned about the really small droplets that you can't see, because those are the ones that get down deep into your lung. And for most infectious agents, that's when you get the worst possible infection.
Those could be deadly.
Those could be deadly.
Droplets smaller than a human hair. Researchers already know the virus can survive on cardboard for 24 hours, plastic and steel for 3 days, glass for 4 days. Last month, this lab announced that common household disinfectants can quickly kill the virus. But another critical discovery received less attention. The pathogen does not survive well in direct sunlight and at certain humidity levels.
What we have found so far is that sunlight seems to be very detrimental to the virus, and so within minutes, the majority of the virus is inactivated on surfaces and in the air in direct sunlight.
That could mean the virus would die quickly on anything left outside, from playground equipment to backyard furniture to shopping carts. It's not clear whether sunlight kills the virus on skin.
Our preliminary results say yes, that the sunlight on plastic will inactivate the virus very quickly.
Potential good news for anyone anxious to get outside. Researchers say the fact that this virus dies quickly in direct sunlight but can live for days on surfaces inside could directly affect how Americans live and play this summer.
Yeah, okay.
Good evening, everyone. With the heartbreak growing with each person we lose, now more than 70,000 in this country, there is a new ray of hope we're watching closely this evening, this one on the fast track. In an NBC News exclusive, we take you inside the clinical trials getting underway here in New York of a revolutionary coronavirus vaccine that could be rolled out in months, as an array of dire projections underscore just how short time is in the hunt for a magic bullet. We've got it all covered tonight, starting off with Tom Costello.
In the urgent push to beat back a deadly pathogen, researchers at NYU have now started clinical trials on a never-before-tried genetic vaccine candidate developed by Pfizer along with a German partner. Rather than trying to manipulate the live virus itself, this vaccine attempts to reprogram the virus's genetic code. Melissa Huntkinen, whose husband is a doctor at NYU, is among the first 12 healthy Americans to receive the injection.
So many people are being affected
by this pandemic, and I figured would be a great thing to do to help during an unprecedented time.
Here's what makes this unique. The vaccine carries the genetic code known as messenger RNA that instructs the cells to make the proteins associated with the coronavirus, but without making someone sick. The hope is that the immune system then kicks in to create the antibodies to fight off COVID-19. And Pfizer has 4 genetic vaccine candidates. Dr. Mark Mulligan is running the NYU trial.
It really is a natural thing because this messenger RNA is something the body produces on its own normally. So it's kind of a new thing, but it's really not anything that's too different than what the body does for itself.
Because it's natural, it's also believed to be safe. But experts point out it's still experimental and vaccines normally take years to develop.
We don't yet have a licensed vaccine for RNA or DNA vaccines because in the past they've worked very well in laboratory animals, but those immune responses have not translated into good human immune responses.
Worldwide, there are now roughly 100 vaccine candidates under review. Researchers at Pfizer believe this genetic code vaccine could be available as soon as September.
It is probably the fastest way of having a vaccine available to stem this pandemic.
Are you more optimistic about this type of vaccine compared to a typical vaccine that we've seen in the past?
I am optimistic, but the data will speak for themselves, Tom. This is the nice thing about science. You don't have to have faith or belief. The answer will come from the investigations that we do.
Melissa Hankinen, a yoga instructor, went home hours after receiving the first shot on Monday. How are you feeling?
I feel fine. My arm's just a little sore. I don't have any headaches. I feel like myself.
All right, Tom joins me now. Tom, Pfizer's not the only company working on a vaccine like this, right?
No, that's right. Moderna, Inovio, and CanSino are also involved in this kind of research. Importantly, never before has a genetically altered vaccine made its way to market. This is cutting-edge stuff. But Pfizer believes it could have a vaccine within 4 months, Lester.
All right, Tom Costello, exciting news. Thank you. We're seeing more of the ripple effect tonight on the food industry. Meat supplies down, prices going up, and one of the country's best-known fast food chains now out of beef in some of its restaurants.
Yeah, I'm going to say this. We trust in the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai. Our physician is Yahweh Shai. Okay, our physician is the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, and His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai. No vaccine or nothing that they can come up with can get rid of what the Heavenly Father is putting on the earth.
We get details now from NBC's Gabe Gutierrez.
Tonight at some Wendy's restaurants and across social media, a burning question.
Where's the beef?
The fast food giant is the latest company hit hard by the pandemic because of its reliance on fresh beef.
Out of patties?
Yeah, it's yanking burgers off the menu in some locations in many states across the country. One analyst estimates nearly a fifth of the chain's restaurants are out of beef.
It's a little crazy. It's a tango limited now.
Wendy says we expect this to be temporary, but it comes after some grocery chains limited meat purchases. Nationwide, many meat and poultry plants have temporarily shut down after thousands of workers contracted coronavirus.
Hey, the Lord cold, man.
Cases at 120 facilities in Pennsylvania alone. Across the country, meat prices are now up as much as 25%.
It's up significantly in this last few weeks.
Hey, yeah, I was in the store the other day and hey, I saw a pack of chicken breasts for $14, man. Okay, $14 for a pack of chicken breasts, man. And that was in Walmart.
Something we're watching daily.
Customers at this 88-year-old butcher shop in New York are already noticing.
This Italian sausage has gone up about 20% in the past week.
Yeah.
Owner Robert Esposito says he's never seen a price hike this sudden.
I had to raise my prices last week, as I think many stores have. And I think it's going to even keep on going higher within the next couple of weeks. That's what I'm told.
Retail demand for Tyson's beef has jumped by at least 30%, but the company expects overall sales to drop because of lost business in the restaurant industry. The battered supply chain is a monumental blow to farmers.
Al Van Beek in Iowa says he has nowhere to ship his hogs.
How much longer will your farm be able to survive?
Well, I can tell you that if we keep going at the rate we're going, we're looking at months, not years.
The chief executive of Tyson, the country's largest meat supplier, says that this is the most severe crisis he's seen. Experts warn customers that they should expect higher meat prices for months. Lester?
All right, Gabe Gutierrez tonight. Thank you. And this evening, there are growing concerns about children with COVID-19 suffering from that.
Hey, you think it's a game, man? Let me play some of this, what this devil say. Let me play some of this here.
You're not about the modeling on this, but these numbers are making people nervous. Not nervous enough to not reopen, by the way, which is an important point. What is your perspective on them?
Yeah. Well, models that change numbers like this, Chris, often confuse people. But the fundamental core principle behind it doesn't change. And that's something that we've been saying all along. When you have a lot of virus activity and you know that you're able to contain it to a certain degree by the mitigation, the physical separations, the kinds of things that we've been talking about, gateway, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and you start to leapfrog over some of these, you're inviting rebound. And rebound is going to give you spikes, and spikes are going to give you the kinds of numbers. I don't know if those numbers, because I have skepticism about models, about they're only as good as the assumptions you put into them, but they're not completely misleading. They're telling you.
Hey, they all physicians, Job 13:4, man. Okay, they are all forges of lies. They are physicians of no value, man. And this guy, what his name is, Dr. Fossey. Hey, man, he's a physician of no value, man.
Something that's a reality. That when you have mitigation that's containing
And
something,
he just told you that he don't even trust in their
down
models.
in the right direction, and you pull back prematurely, you're going to get a rebound of cases. And that's something that I've been talking about in multiple interviews, multiple times. It is tempting rebound when you do something prematurely.
Now, everybody.
And the cases done doubled, man, since they've been opening back up these cities, man.
Sees you as the person who wants us to stay the course and keep with the social distancing and let's get the science right. But they don't also understand that Tony Fauci knows what economic hard times are about, how your family came up, what life was like for you coming up. You know that people are in need right now. You know money is short for them. How do you balance those interests in your own heart and head? That people are strapped by this and they're worried about their families losing whatever dreams they have. How do you balance?
You know what? The hopefully elect ain't one about that. See, that's the difference between heathens, 2/3 of Israel, and the hopefully elect. The hopefully elect ain't one about that because they trust in the Heavenly Father Yahweh. They trust in the Most High Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, with everything, man. Okay? That's the hope. That's the hope that the hopefully elect have. That's the faith. That's the trust that the hopefully elect have in the Heavenly Father Yahweh. Wholeheartedly, man. Without a doubt, man. Because we know that he's going to take care of his elect, man. His hopefully elect. The ones that he have chosen from the beginning. Whomever they are. They will be protected in that time. Just wanting to go into some headlines. Lord will is edifying. Got to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rekah, Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, who teach well, and a sincere salutation to all the Akim, pushing this truth and believing this truth throughout the four winds of the earth, the entire world, waking up the hopeful elect. And shalom to the outwalk who are listening and learning, the few sisters who are listening and learning. Hey, Lord willing edifying. Hey, the hopeful elect, trusting Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai, without a doubt. And they will be covered. They will be protected. Psalms 91. When you read Psalm 33, it tell you about he going to protect his elect from famine. Psalm 37, he going to protect his elect shall be satisfied. and shall not see famine. Okay? 2 Ezra 2, 27, 28. The Lord say, others shall weep and be sorrowful, but thou shalt be merry and have abundance. Proverbs 27 and 27. You shall have enough for thy maidens and thy household. Okay? Isaiah 65. The elect will be covered, man. They shall eat and be merry and have abundance and be protected from any disease, from any pestilence. Psalm 91, Yahweh, Bashim Hawashah say his elect will be covered in that day. Shalom.